Hello, hello, hello. This is Tony Holland, founder and CEO of Global Premier Benefits and Integrity Company. I'm here today with a man, a true guru in the insurance business, one of the all-time greats, a legend, Mr. John Gordin. Did I say it right, John?
That's right. That's right.
I remember when I first met you, I didn't know for years I was saying it wrong, and you finally corrected me on that. So I was saying John Gordin, like, was it 4 or 5 years? And Tony, my name's John Gordin. Like, all right, I made sure I got it right. Did I say it right?
You got it right, man.
How you doing today, my friend?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great.
Yeah, glad to have you. You look good, man.
You know,
like you slimming up a little bit.
Yeah, trying to get my summer body. You know, get ready for those beaches.
There you go. Hit the gym. Good, man. Good. Well, I'm glad to have you here. And I can remember going back when we first met. I think it was August 2012.
Yeah.
And I think you answered an ad on Craigslist, right?
Yeah.
People ask me all the time, can you find studs on Craigslist? Yeah, I found John on Craigslist. Yeah. What made you answer that ad, by the way?
You know, it's funny what you'll find on Craigslist.
Yeah.
Because ironically, prior to coming in and meeting with you, I placed an ad on Craigslist because I had an old Christmas tree in my house. And it'd been in our family for years, and I didn't want to throw it away, so I wanted to give it to another family.
Okay.
And Gloria answered the ad.
Miss Gloria Johnson, yeah. Wonderful lady, yeah.
So she came by the house, picked up the tree, and then the business I was in at that point, running my business, I needed leads, and I saw your ad. I'm like, oh wow, this might be the thing. So when I came by the office, I looked and I'm like, wait a minute, I know her from somewhere.
Yeah.
I don't people look at each other and they're like, wait a minute, I know you, but maybe not. And it turned out it was Gloria from the house. We had a great conversation.
Yeah.
So then got to meet you and Kathy and had a great conversation with you. You took me on a tour of the office.
Yeah.
Which wasn't quite the call center I was
expecting. I remember that conversation. You were like, Tony, I really admire what you've done. Beautiful place, but just because you got a room with a bunch of phones in it, don't make it a call center.
Yeah.
That was hilarious because you were telling me about Dropbox. I said, yeah, Dropbox, we got one. It's that UPS box outside. That's where we put all the CDs and the applications in and overnight them every night.
Yeah.
But you brought us up to speed. So
because coming from my background, I run a number of call centers.
Right.
And so I'm used to big data rooms and huge open floors with cubicles and everything else. And it was like a little island. Everyone had their little island. No one could transfer calls. There was no call loops or anything.
We would yell, hey, I got a call for you. Can you pick up the phone?
I'll give you a number. Call them back.
Yeah. Come to my desk.
But, those are the things that, get you. You have to start somewhere.
Yeah.
So we evolve.
Yeah.
And you continue evolving.
Yeah.
So, it's an exciting time to be alive now, especially with everything that's going on in the IT world.
Yeah, we had the little voice data recorders plugged into the phone.
Yeah. So, because I've been a techno geek all my life,
Yeah.
I remember in 1983, there was a movie called War Games.
Oh, yeah.
And it was first time
Great
I'd heard about artificial intelligence. This is back in the early 80s. This computers trying to take over the world, and I guess the main character played a big role in trying to save the world.
Right.
So at that point, I'm like, I want to do that. So my original goal had nothing to do with insurance, like most people.
Yeah.
I wanted to get into IT. I was going to go to the Naval Academy. I was going to go into artificial intelligence. Be in that world with the military. But life happens and things change.
Yeah.
But the funny thing is things come full cycle.
Yeah.
Now artificial intelligence is even bigger now than it was.
Every day you're hearing something about art, and we'll get into that shortly.
Absolutely.
But I just very thankful to have met you that day, and the relationship we forged, the business relationship, the personal relationship. I consider you one of my dearest friends in the business.
Likewise.
And you transformed us. I mean, when you first told me about what a CRM system was, I was like, isn't that the new Honda that's coming out, a CRM?
That's a CRV.
So it was fun, man. But you transformed our whole organization, and you've grown. And you built a tremendous organization yourself. And before we get into that, where are you from originally?
Well, originally, I'm a military kid.
Okay.
My dad was a proud member of the Marine Corps.
All
So
right.
I was born
Wow.
in California.
Okay.
I've lived in pretty much every state on the East Coast between Maryland and Florida, except for Virginia.
Okay.
And I lived in Rhode Island and New York for a little while.
Okay. Cool.
So I'm well traveled.
Yeah. Okay. You still will travel. I mean,
Well, I'm well traveled internationally.
it's
now.
internationally now. I'm like, just so you guys know, John loves traveling. I'm like, it's like you talk about living the lifestyle. Every month, you almost in another country.
Well, in the summer.
No, come on now. Come on now. You got the lifestyle, man. It's like you might be 50-ish, but you got the lifestyle of those 20-somethings. I think you were a born a millennial, and deep inside the heart, you were definitely a millennial.
The rest of the world's just catching up with
Yeah, y'all catching up. You kind of started that along with starting the VCC. So you got let's talk about, your career. I mean, I know you went to college, you majored in computer science, correct?
Yep, computer science and math.
It's very rare to see that, someone that majored in computer science get into the insurance business. What got you from that part in terms of studying computers, and you talked about artificial intelligence. What brought you into the insurance business? What got you here?
Great question. So, like most folks in the technical world, I'm a little more introverted,
Right.
naturally. But I worked in a part-time job in collections. And collections is just a form of sales. You're trying to convince people to pay money that they don't want to pay anymore.
Exactly.
So the key thing was that got me that first taste of sales. So it was a part-time job.
Right.
It was a way to have some money in my pocket. But I started doing well at it. I got used to it, and then I moved into other sales opportunities. And next thing you know, my career had gone completely away from computers because I was making money,
Right.
selling, and I was really focused on the sales side of things.
Okay.
So my background, most of it was cold selling.
Okay.
I
Cold
worked for cold calling in the call centers, but
Right.
actually canvassing neighborhoods. I
Really?
worked for a company selling home improvement.
Really?
Yep.
Wow, I didn't know that.
They would round up a bunch of college students, throw us in a van, give us a clipboard and a pen, drop us in the neighborhood, tell us that they'll be back in a couple of hours, and we walked around door to door, talking to customers and trying to generate leads for them. That was their lead generation.
Wow.
So I moved from that into actually selling. I sold frozen meat off the back of a truck.
Really?
Yep. Every morning, we'd go out, and I was self-employed at that time. You go in, and you had to pay the company for the truck. You had to pay them for the meat.
Wow.
And then you went out and you negotiated your own sales.
Wow.
Door to door. Hey, I was in the neighborhood, and I had my delivery didn't come through. So you guys have probably had those people come to your door before.
Yeah.
That's me. But that got me. So collections, helped me get a tough, thick skin because
Right.
you're getting chewed out every day.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to hear from me. And then getting into sales, canvassing neighborhoods, getting comfortable talking
Right.
to people, learning like the little things that you do when you approach the door, and getting people comfortable.
Right.
And I still use analogies from my experience in the past. Getting past the screen door. A lot of people will come to the door. They don't quite trust you yet, so they'll talk to you through the screen.
Right.
So you gotta get to that screen door before you can really.
Depending on what neighborhood, John, it could be bars too.
Yeah, there was that too.
In Baltimore, we had the bars.
Yeah.
They spoke through the bars.
Absolutely. And it's funny, so 'cause as my career progressed, I got into insurance. My first insurance job was with MetLife. I was
Okay,
career agent
MetLife.
with them.
Yeah. Okay.
So they sent me to the career success school up in Delaware. Came back out and really hit the ground because I was used to selling, but now it was a
Right.
different product. It was
Right.
just a different animal. But it helped me get grounded in the business. It helped me understand how to sit down with people, how to really focus on talking to folks
Right.
and getting them comfortable with you first. And I think that's one thing that I learned. One of the things I teach my agents all the time. We get so caught up in the insurance side of things. We get excited about riders and premiums and all that.
Right.
The average consumer doesn't care anything about that.
Agree.
It's our job to interpret what they want, what their goals are, into insurance terms, and then help them package it.
Right.
That's our job.
Yeah.
So that was what I've really focused on teaching people since then. Great. A funny story though, when I first got into Medicare, because I went from MetLife to working with New York Life to National Life. So all these different opportunities were really working with high net worth individuals, folks that had money to move around.
Right.
My first appointments. I connected with another insurance agency that was offering free Medicare leads,
Right.
Medicare Advantage leads.
Right.
So I'd never, didn't even occur to me that there were folks that were interested in insurance that didn't have money.
Right. Right.
So I remember going to my first appointment, and I'm driving my Q45, and pulling into this neighborhood, and I'm looking, and I'm like, wow, they got money in this neighborhood. I remember getting out of my car, putting on my suit.
Yeah.
The guys, hey, 50. So going in the appointment, peeking out the window to make sure my car is okay.
And the tires are still there, not up on blocks, right?
Exactly.
Well, I think a lot, you shared a lot, things I didn't even know about in terms of your experience in sales and going out there grinding, cold calling. Because I think that's such a great thing to learn that they don't teach you in school. But I know this about you, John. You played college football too at Towson University, correct?
Yep.
How did that help you in your business career? Because I've noticed, because I was a college football player, coached for 13 years, and something that I've always seen as a special element, those that played, high school or college sports, how that's helped them in the business world. Can you go into that a little bit?
Oh man, there's so many parallels. Knowing that if it's meant to be, it's up to me.
Yeah.
When it's all said and done, your sales is a contact sport.
Okay.
You're going to get knocked down sometimes.
Right.
But you haven't lost until you stop getting up.
Amen.
And one of the things that I found was that, my coach always said, like, someone gets hurt on the field, is like, are you injured or are you hurt?
Right. Are you injured or
If you're injured, okay, we get you out there. If you're hurt, you got to suck it up.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Get back in the game.
And that's one of the things I learned is, like, things are going to change, bad things are going to happen, but hey, there's a mission. Also the military, though. My dad retired as a master gunnery sergeant in the Marine Corps.
Right.
So he led soldiers. And one of the things that they always focused on was the mission.
Right.
And really what it comes down to is the mission is bigger than the individual.
Amen.
And you play a role in that. And what I love about Medicare is that our role, our mission is to help people. So when I'm sick, if there's something going on in my personal life or whatever, my mission still is the same.
Got it.
I still have to get out there and find a way to help people.
Amen.
So the important aspect of this is we have a great opportunity here to help people, and we actually do pretty well
Financially.
financially.
Well, let's go into your why.
Okay.
I mean, what is that? What is your why in this business? Everyone has their why. What's your why?
I mean, my why is to make a difference in the lives of the people that I touch.
Right.
And one of the things that I found being, as an individual producer, I was helping people one at a time.
Right.
As an agency principal, it gives me an opportunity to be a force multiplier.
Yes.
I can help agents underneath me who are then helping customers.
Right.
So the information and the experience that I've gained is now being pushed out and applied in multiples instead of me just doing it one at a time by myself.
Got it.
So it really makes a difference. The biggest thing that kept me in Medicare, I remember when I was selling securities, mutual funds, life insurance, large policies, things along those lines. The folks that have money have tons of people chasing after them.
Yes.
Okay, your low to middle income seniors sometimes are forgotten.
Yes.
They don't have someone calling them, say, hey, are you okay? Hey, how can I help you? How's your day today? When I was working in the high net worth market, all the time I'd have folks say, hey, well, I got to talk to my doctor, or I got to talk to my accountant, or I got to talk to this, or I got to talk to my dog.
Right.
There's always somebody else they got to talk
Right.
to. When I got into Medicare, the reception was so much different.
Right.
Okay, these folks were so much more appreciative.
Right.
And when I really looked at it, it's like, wow, the money's good, but it feels good.
Yes.
To see the stress come off of someone's face when they realize that there's hope.
Right.
The folks that I was working with, securities, they were going to be all right either way.
Exactly. Yeah.
These folks are struggling.
Yes.
$50 could change their world.
Yes.
So that's really what caught on with me.
Yeah. Awesome. And we joked earlier about your first experience with my organization.
Right.
Back at the call center.
Yeah.
But how has Global Premier Benefits, in your partnership with our organization, taken you to that next level? That level that people only, dream about.
Yep.
Can you talk about that partnership?
Absolutely, absolutely. So, as I've said, I've been around the insurance industry for quite a while. Actually, as of this month, 30 years.
Wow, 30 years in the business.
30 years in
Awesome.
insurance. Wow. So, I've been with a lot of different organizations, and Global has been unique. I can honestly say in all my travels, I've never been with an organization where, from the top down, the people care so much about their agents. So much is poured into agents. Normally, it's you get a contract, there's no meetings, there's no nothing. You get an email saying, "Hey, this new product's out.
Yeah.
Get a contract."
You're a number.
And you never hear anything from
Just
anybody.
a number.
So that was a big difference. The fact that there's actually people that are reaching out and want you to help.
Right.
Want to help you, I should say.
Right.
And the resources that are available. Co-ops, leads, training. I mean, these are all the things that any new agent's going to need. And most organizations that I had come in contact with didn't offer any of that.
Plus, the trip's not bad too.
The trips, yeah.
Especially, I know you love to travel.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Especially when you can go for free. That also even better.
Absolutely. And nice places that
Yeah.
are.
What's your favorite trip you've been on with us?
Favorite trip?
Favorite?
Oh wow, that's a tough one. There's been so many.
There's been so many.
Turks and Caicos was awesome.
Turks and Caicos was nice.
But what was the Oasis of the Sea, the cruise we went on?
Yeah, oh yeah, that was that big ship.
Yeah,
Yeah, the biggest
time
one in the world
yeah.
at that time.
Yeah, at the time.
Yeah.
Oh man, and that was incredible.
Yeah.
Rock climbing. Well, I didn't zip line.
Right. Zip line. You didn't zip line.
I think they had a weight limit around 250, and I was like, okay, that's too close. I'm not gonna take it. So.
You didn't want to have a problem and lose you at sea, man.
Exactly. I don't want to test the limits.
Yeah.
What do I have for lunch?
Well, great, man. It's been a pleasure and an honor, and I know you've done really well in this business financially, and I always enjoy that part, seeing where people start with us, and then where they end up, and seeing where you were when you first started, and now where you are now. I mean, to be able to be in a position where you're financially free and can live your dream. Can you share a little bit about how your partnership with Global in this industry has impacted your family? Because a lot of people don't like to talk about the money,
right.
But I think it's important that people know that, because there's so many good people out there, John, I noticed, that are struggling at dead-end jobs, that want a better life for them and their family. They're hustling but just can't get anywhere. They're on that rat race in life.
Yeah.
You've been able to break out of that and live the dream. Can you talk about how this business has impacted you and your family on that level?
Absolutely. I've been through a lot of family financial milestones in my time with Global. Since 2012, had 2 kids through college.
Wow.
I remember when my wife and actually my best friend got married in 2007, and we were in Jamaica, and we were having breakfast together, and just sharing thoughts and dreams. And my dream at that time was to be able to have a business that I could run from anywhere in the world. That was my dream, 16 years ago.
Wow.
And I've experienced that being with Global. I'm living the dream that I had 16 years ago.
Wow. That's
so
awesome.
that those are the main things for me. Knowing that there's a great future in front of me, having the freedom and flexibility to move about and still make sure that my team are taken care of and their customers are taken care of. I couldn't be happier.
Yeah, and I know on another personal note, I know you've overcome some challenges, and and I always tell people, you never know when life's going to hit you in the mouth, and it's nice to have that renewal check coming in.
Yeah.
I mean, can you talk about that a little bit, about that security? Because a lot of people get confused about security. I answer that. I need a guarantee. I'm like, wouldn't it be nice? Yeah, it's like, I've always talked to people about this. You either have short-term gain will also lead to long-term pain, right?
Yeah.
But you can reverse that, have short-term pain, feel the pain a little bit, to have that long-term gain. You're living that long-term gain.
Yeah.
So can you explain how renewals has helped that, especially when you went through, I know you lost your father, and how that helped you? Because a lot of people couldn't have done what you've done at a regular corporate job.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, I think the key thing is when you start a business, any business, but specifically in the insurance world, that business becomes a part of your family. That's your family member.
Right.
And if you invest time in it and take care of that business, it will take care of you.
Amen.
Okay, 'cause there's going to come a time where you're going to need it. I've had the the luxury, the flexibility, the privilege of being able to be there for my family and through some very troubling times. I lost my father 2 years ago. I was able to take some time to spend with my mother. My mother had, a medical situation a year ago. I was able to take a month to go down there, but still work. I didn't miss a day of work.
Right.
But I was able to, pack up and say, boom, hey, Mom, if you need me, I'll be there.
Right.
Love it, having that ability and having the stability to know that, hey, if something would happen to me, that my family would still be taken care of. So having, that income coming in when you need it, and knowing that it will be there for you in the future, as long as you do what you're supposed to.
Yeah, absolutely. So I know you have over 200 contracted agents, correct? And about 15,000 clients you serve.
Correct.
Awesome. What are your goals going forward? It's 2023. What does the next few years look like for John and Sound Advice MD, your organization?
Well, I mean, my goal now is, again, to take that force multiplication to the next level.
Okay.
I have sub-agencies under me now. So my goal is to grow additional agencies and help them get to the same level that I'm at now. So by helping them help other agents, it just gets its own momentum. So that's really what my goal is. My goal over the next probably 2 to 5 years is to have at least 20 agencies under me. Wow. And those agencies that have, everyone has their own, agency has their own goals.
Right.
But for them to meet their goals.
Absolutely.
So
absolutely.
That's my
absolutely. That's awesome. So let's go into about the VCC. Okay. Because there's different distribution models out there in this business.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, enjoy the group setting because at Global, we have people that just do groups. There's a lot to be said in that. I used to do a lot of grassroots and a group level market. Many people know about my story at North Point Baptist with Pastor James Gray and got those 80 enrollments in that Southern Baptist Church. So that's a group level. I love groups. I love the one-on-one. There's also the opportunity to be a hybrid, do it over the phone and in the field. But you developed something. You were the first in the industry to do this, and a lot of people aren't aware of this. Back in 2014, it's something you'd worked on for several years developing, which was the virtual call center model. It's like a call center, instead of the brick and mortar, it was done virtually. Can you go in a little bit about that and how that was developed and how you came about with that idea? Because it was a brilliant idea, and it transformed the industry. I mean, that wasn't heard of back then, and you were the innovator of that. Can you go into that, please?
Sure. So let me first say, I didn't create the concept. It exists in other industries, but it did not exist in Medicare. So the question becomes, okay, how do we get the virtual concept? Well, let me first explain what virtual call center is.
Right.
So you have your brick and mortar call centers, your big buildings, cubicleville, with a lot of people in a room on the phone. And a centralized system to distribute calls to them, inbound or outbound, is available to them. Typically, there's a CRM, a customer relationship management system, so everyone is keying data into the same system. So it's allowing you to be able to distribute calls and mine data all in one system. And normally, it's in a brick and mortar environment, and the people working in that environment normally are employees of that organization.
Right.
Okay. So our thought process was, hey, we have broker agents in insurance. We can sell insurance over the phone, but up until that point in time, it was everyone was in a building, and they were all employees.
Right.
So the thought was, what if we could allow agents to be able to do this from home as brokers? So instead of being an employee and building wealth for someone else, having the opportunity to build wealth for yourself from the comfort of your own home. So really what it came down to, we worked with our key partner at that time, Cigna, to find out what were the compliance rules that we had to adhere to be able to apply the concept here. And they partnered with us and went to CMS and got the approvals for us. And we just made sure that our technology stayed within compliance.
Right. Wow.
So
go through the pros and cons of that, because I mean, that was your baby, and you've seen it all. You've worked with hundreds, probably thousands of agents, and brick and mortar version, virtual version. What's the pros and cons? Because I know someone's listening here today say, I like that idea.
Right.
You know, because you have the camaraderie of a call center, but yet I own the book. A lot of people don't realize when you're working in a regular call center, you don't own the book.
Yeah.
You know, and that's something I've been trying to coach people up on. It's like you're getting that short-term gain, but you're giving up the future of that book of business. There's a reason why they're having you sign that LOA.
Yep.
The big money is 2-3 years down the road.
Yep.
So can you go through some of the pros and cons of understanding the VCC for that person that's watching right now, says I'd like to contact John or Tony and I want to know more about this. What are the pros and cons?
Okay, I'll start with the cons. So first con is you're your own boss.
Okay.
It's
I think that's a
pro.
blessing.
It's also a pro. But how good a boss are you?
Oh, okay. Some people need a boss, and they can't be their own boss. I get it. I get it.
Exactly, because that's where the challenge comes in. Normally, in a brick and mortar call center environment, you have someone telling you what time to show up to work, what time to take your break,
right,
what time to go to lunch, what time to go home.
Right.
Like, everything is boom. This is what you have to do.
Right.
When you work for yourself, you're the one that dictates that.
Right.
And when you're working for yourself, it's very easy to justify, oh, well, I need to do this. Oh, I got to paint the house. I got to do this. And then eventually you get around to work. That can be a blessing for many. It can be a curse for a lot as well.
Agreed.
So that's what I would say is I guess it's on both columns, depending upon how you apply it. But obviously another pro is owning your own book. You're building wealth. You're generating wealth for your family that you can pass on to your family. Right. So it's a huge opportunity in having the convenience of doing that from home.
I like to also say this too. It's like renting a house versus owning a house. Yep. What would you rather have? I'd rather own a house and have the equity. Yep. So your book of business is the equity. Absolutely. And if you take an LOA route and you're working, it's amazing to me, John, how many people kill themselves for an $800 a week check plus a little bonus, but yet we make that in 2 sales, and yet they're putting up 8, 9, 10, 12 sales a week, 15 sales a week. I'm like, do you know how much money you're giving away? Not just the front money you're giving away, but then on the back end, especially in Medicare. I mean, someone that does $100,000 in sales in the Medicare market, that next following year, you're getting $50,000 of that in a renewal. Absolutely. And you do that again, make another $100,000 plus that 50, now you're at 150, then you're getting another 50 from that second year. Now you're at $100,000 in renewals. You're going to give that up to that FMO, that call center guy, for $800 a week?
Yes. Well, and one of the things, I talk to a lot of agents, and a lot of agents that have worked in call centers. They probably still work in call centers.
Right.
And the challenge is there's that when you're looking at moving from being an employee to a broker, there's that false sense of insecurity. So what I mean by that is when you're an employee, you have a steady guaranteed check coming in.
Yeah.
So you have that stability. Okay, but it's a false sense of stability.
Yes.
Because if you don't sell, you're not going to have that job.
Exactly.
So if you're confident that you can write enough business to keep your job, why not take that same confidence and work for yourself and just make sure that you sell, just like you would if you were working for somebody else. Yeah. But folks not having that safety net a lot of times, now they're insecure and they're concerned. And the challenge, the thing that folks have to understand is that instability typically is only for the first year.
Yeah.
Because that first year you don't have any renewals. Right. So you've got to be on your grind. You got to go out there and sell, which is what you were going to do on the job anyway. Yeah. But now, year 2, you have renewals coming in. So now you're creating your own salary.
Exactly.
You're creating your own stability.
And then you own it.
And you own it.
Yes.
So now it builds.
Yeah.
And how many jobs can you get where you can go out and get a 20, 30%? Like you decide how big your raise is going to be next year.
Amen.
You go to work and you say, hey, look, you know what? Next year I want to make this much money. Boom, you put together a plan and you go make it happen.
Yes.
A lot of times you can't do that on the job.
Yeah.
They'll say, hey, look, you know what? You do really well. You get a bonus. Next year they say, wow, he really blew that bonus out on it. Let's raise the bar a little bit because he's making too much money.
Exactly. Well, and what I love too about Medicare, especially Medicare Advantage, we get a 5 to 6% raise every year in the book of business. No other insurance product I've ever seen has that feature in it. So you made some great points there, John. And I just wish more people would believe in themselves a little bit more. I think it's a self-esteem issue. It's been years that I ever worked on a salary. Back going to high school and college days, and it's like I would never do that. It's like, I have enough self-confidence in myself that I can earn 10 to 15 times that salary. That's how I looked at it. I don't want to short myself for, quote, a false sense of security, a false guarantee, because I'm giving up that future renewal and that freedom. That's what we're working for, right? To be free, financially free. The freedom to do what we want to do, spend time with our family, take time off. That's what we're working for, right?
Now, there's a hybrid challenge. I talk to some agents that are brokers in their environment, but they don't own their book. The organization they work for owns the book, and they pay them.
Wow.
So the challenge for those folks is they say, okay, I really want to go full broker. I want to own my book, but if I leave, I lose the money I've already been generating.
Right.
And I have to remind them, okay, every year that problem is going to get worse.
Exactly. You're going deeper and deeper into a hole.
Exactly. This year, I got $50,000 coming in. They're going to pay me. I don't want to leave that.
Right.
Next year, I got $80,000 coming in. I don't want to leave that.
Right.
And that hole's going to get deeper and deeper and deeper. Sooner or later, you got to bite that bullet because they own you.
Right.
They own your money.
Right.
So it's very important to make the decision and say, hey, look, enough is enough. Sooner or later, you got to step away from that roulette table.
Right.
Stop chasing after your lost money and go.
It's a rat race. Yeah, it's a rat race. Because I had a guy that was with us 6 years he spent in that situation, and he finally made the move. And it's like, and really what made him make the move, because we've been talking over that period of time, the company that he was with that owned a book that was paying him as a broker went out of business.
Wow. And it was gone anyhow.
They lost the money anyway. They filed bankruptcy. He tried it. Him and a bunch of agents tried to sue the IMO. Well, how do you sue an IMO that's broke? Sue me if you want. You're not going to get anything. Yeah. I owed you, $50,000, $60,000 a year in your renewals, but sorry. So he had to start over from scratch 6 years later anyway. So it's not like your IMO it has FDIC protection on them. Your money is not guaranteed, no matter what he says. He go out of business and it's gone no matter what the contract says. So I try to help people understand that aspect too, and especially getting paid directly from the carrier. That way that assures that your money's intact because they have to have a higher level of scrutiny and standards. That's why I always made sure all our contracts at Global, you get paid directly from the carrier at all, if it's up a way possible. That protects us, it protects the broker, and it makes sure if there's any liability that's on the conglomerate insurance company, that billion-dollar insurance company, and some of these companies are way too big, the government would never let them fail. So your money ultimately is protected. So as we wrap, John, by the way, you've done an excellent job, dude. Man, this was a great session. Learned a lot more about you. But I know there's some people who are watching today that are on the fence. What tips do you have for someone that's maybe looking at this industry, that's maybe a single mom out there hustling 2-3 jobs to take care of kids, or somebody that's making $50,000-$60,000 a year at a job they just can't get anywhere? They get the standard 3% raise. They got a boss they don't like. They're just not happy with where their life's going. They want to seek out the freedom that you talked about, to seek out to be able to the ability to take time off to be with your mom and dad for a month or two if a crisis happened. Be able to be in a different country if you want to every single month. Be receiving a 6-figure renewal check every year. I mean, what is your tips or advice to them that are on the fence right now, watching this right now and say, you know what, that tip's going to help me? What kind of tips do you have for those people that are watching now?
I would say, first, understand your why.
Okay.
Because that's what, you have to have a solid reason for why you want to make a change. Because that's what you're going to have to cycle back to mentally to remind yourself, hey, this is worth it, okay? Because there's going to be ups, there's going to be downs. They're going to pass.
Right.
When things are really good, I'm pretty level head. I'm not a really excitable guy.
Right.
Because I know when things are really good, there's going to be a downside. But flip side of that is when things are down, I know there's going to be an upside.
Yeah.
So I like to ride it down the middle. But the key thing there is you have to be prepared to understand that, okay, this is my long-term goal. And my focus is to keep banging on that tree. There's an old story about, actually, I think you told this story.
What's that?
About sharpening the axe.
Oh, yeah.
I think the key thing here is no one starts off as a pro. And a lot of times people are afraid to start because they're not good at something.
Right.
Okay, you get good at something by doing it.
Right.
And practicing. How the sharpening the axe element comes into play is you have to take the time to hone your skills.
Yeah.
Be prepared to go out there and do something, because it doesn't matter how good a batter you are.
Right.
I'm not all kinds of different analogies here.
Right. You're Mr. Analogy. I know that. I've gotten to know that about you. You love analogies.
So I'm going to be all over the place with my analogies here. But using a sports analogy. Okay, number one, baseball. In baseball, if you're a 300 batter, you're hitting 30% of the time, you are an all-star.
Yes.
What no one thinks about in sports is that means you're failing 70% of the time.
Right.
Okay. In sales, the same thing
Amen.
applies.
You're correct.
It's not you're not gonna bat 700.
Right.
But you can be a superstar if you're closing 3 out of 10. And the key thing here is, even if you start off only closing 1 out of 10, or 5 out of 10, or not 5 out of 100. Okay, the more you do it, the better you're gonna get at it. So there's a future in it, but you have to start.
Yes.
That's where the challenge comes in. A lot of folks don't want to step up to the plate. So my advice would be, hey, look, decide, is this what you want to do? Why do you want to do it? And then make sure you show up. The last thing I'll say is ask for help.
Yes.
Okay, a lot of folks come in and they suffer in silence. Okay, they're afraid that Global has meetings multiple times a week where folks have the opportunity to reach out and ask questions.
Yep.
And the folks that need the help are the ones that don't say anything because they're afraid they're going to ask a dumb question. The dumb question is the one that you didn't ask and left the meeting without asking.
Agree.
Okay?
Agree.
So that's the key thing. Understand your why, make sure you show up, and ask for help.
Amen. Amen. Very good stuff, John. And that was some huge nuggets you gave here today. And I want to thank you again. Can't thank you enough for all you've done for me as a person. You're always kind of my yin, the yin to my yang. I'm very A-type. You would keep me in line in terms of not being overly, I was a linebacker. I wanted to go in and just run through walls. So I know you were, but I was more the mic back. I wanted to get in the mix. I want to take on that front lineman, knock him in the head a few times. But you've been a huge blessing to our organization, to the Global family. I mean, one thing I love about you, John, you've helped people that are not even on your team. You've reached out to people and helped people. You truly love, the people in our organization and people in general. You're the most patient guy. I mean, you got the patience of Job sometimes. I don't have that kind of patience. It's like you talk about people with paralysis by analysis. I'm like, you help people through that. For me, I was like, all right, move on next, But you have the patience of Job. You've helped people. You've groomed people. You've developed people like no one I've ever seen. And so that's why, I really believe that's why you've built such a great following. People have the utmost respect for you and what you've accomplished, what you've done. And I have no doubt you're going to hit that goal and totally transform other people's lives in this industry. So I want to thank you again today. Thank you for your friendship, your partnership. I know with you, John, especially over the next couple of years, you haven't seen anything yet. I have no doubt you're going to soar to a whole nother level. So we thank you today. So if any guys that are interested about joining Global Premier Benefits or getting to know John personally, you can reach out to us directly. I'm one of the very few IMOs in the industry. I actually give out my actual personal cell phone number, so you can call me directly at 443. You laughing, John, but it's true. John's like, "What do you do that for?" I give out my phone number for years. Like, Tony, you put your phone number out to the people. I'm like, yeah, I want them to call me. But my number is 443-253-3634. That's 443-253-3634. You can also check out our website at globalpremierbenefits.com. You can see all kinds of nuggets out there. Even John's leading some of those sessions and everything about what our organization is about. We're in, now 50 states and DC, so we've expanded and grown from where we were just a year ago. And our partnership with Integrity is just top notch. So that's been an incredible partnership we've developed over the last year. So really excited about working with you. Give us a call. We'll talk to you soon and have a blessed day. Thank you.